The Hitman.
So guys, I tell you what, what's never lost on me is how we treat our talent. And I from a guy like David Kaplan, who's a rock star in this industry, to Lawrence Ohm, who was on his way to be really, really great and still grinds it every day, they still have a ton to learn and want to learn. And we don't do a good enough job every day coaching them, listening to them, and being there for them. And I think if we do a better job of that, as much as we demand of them with all this meter game and all that crap, we'll get so much more in return. And never forget that, because I believe I've got a really good staff from my 10th board op, part-time, to my best talk show host. They all are different, and you got to treat them all differently, and you have to be there for them when they need you, because if you're going to demand a lot out of them, you better be there for them when they need you. So that was really intriguing, but everything else has been great. Appreciate you, Jay.
Joe.
Well, as an outsider now, coming back into this slowly, I thank you for having me. And as an educator now, I learned that I have to do a better job of getting these guys ready for you. The Illinois Media School, where I'm part-time teaching at, is a great base for students in this area. It's probably a little bit more efficient for them than Columbia. I think Julio will talk about that a little bit. I went to Columbia, and that was the school to go to here in Chicago. And if you wanted to be in broadcasting, and it gave me a great start. But when I had to make the transition from radio to TV because I didn't want to move out of the market, I took a step back and looked at it, and have been consulting with Hitman for a long time, obviously as his twin brother. But I think looking back at it now, we have got, as educators, and I'll bring this back to the people I know, we have got to do a better job of getting these guys, especially millennials, trained and ready for you guys. And I learned a ton of info on what you guys need. All right, what you guys need and what we can do to teach them to get them to that level, because quite frankly, they're the next generation, right? So that's what I learned the most. Thanks again for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
Let's get Tim Spence's thoughts.
Yesterday, I had some thoughts regarding the ideas and the evolving of us as programmers in this business, and we still have a long ways to go. And coming to one of these conferences, it's always energizing when I leave, and I leave with all these ideas. So it's been great. Thanks to JB, thanks to Mitch, thanks to everybody coming. The one thing that struck me the most was the diversification panel, and the fact that as we evolve as programmers in a radio station, some of us do a good job, some of us don't do enough. And we all need to realize, where are we going to be in 5 to 10 years? And where is this format going? Where is the listenership going? And we have an obligation, we really do, to go make a difference in whatever form or fashion. So I really appreciate everything, JB.
You got it. John Mamola.
When I did the Q&A for your website, the last thing I said, it's going to be the one thing I'm interested in this business moving in 5, 10 years from now is how you define success. And I think right now, when you look at all the tools and all the different ways that people can utilize the brands that we represent, I think finding a way to maximize that is going to be the continual kind of carrot in front of you as you're running the rat race. So getting the basics down, seeing what other people are doing. I thought the teams, talking about the social media part, because they probably do it better than anyone I have on staff. So, okay, yeah, they got 6 people tweeting on a game. What's like a little nugget that I could take from that and apply to my one guy that's doing it? that kind of thing. So overall, there was so much data. I got a Bible of notes to take home and kind of highlight the the good things that I want to kind of help build the argument with my talent and show them, look, this is where it's going. I thought the Nielsen presentation was by far the best thing we had this weekend. Just the sheer amount of data. Please send me the deck. The amount of data. Thank you. But the amount of data and just seeing how, yes, okay, radio as an audio is popular, but the radio part of it is declining. And it's interesting too. His final answer to I think it was Ryan's question about streams being encoded. That's the same answer we've been getting for 7 to 8, maybe 10 years from them. We're still behind the ball on that. I think as programmers, if we were to work together, maybe with Nielsen, to find different avenues of how we can find ways to get those numbers to count with Nielsen, I think would be a really good discussion maybe to have for next year's thing. But overall, outstanding, great job, and thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
One final thought, Julio.
Oh,
jeez. Yep. First for last. Jason, thank you so much for inviting me here, the other students these last 2 days. I mean, I've got almost my whole notepad filled with stuff, and I'm walking away feeling I have a slight advantage over other young talents who are trying to find their way into this business. Hearing Lawrence and David and how they're continuing to grind, even though they're in market number 3, even though they're on TV, they're still grinders, is very inspirational. Hearing Nielsen solidify what I've believed in my whole life over the last, I'll take it back, what I believed in the last couple of years, that radio's not dead, that radio is here to stay, that people are still listening to it, that people in my age group are listening to it, and that's a fact. And I'm so thankful to get to look at the data and those numbers to back that up. And just from everyone, all the program directors, all your guys' input, for me as someone who's trying to break into the business, I feel like I have some tools and ways to improve my work. Hearing Jim talk about imaging, it's tremendous. And thank you again, Jason,
You
from
got
the
it.
bottom of my heart. It's invaluable. Thank
I'll close on this. First of all, I want to give Entercom, Chicago, Mitch Rosen, and Jimmy DeCastro. I know they're all upstairs or they're on their way to the bar, but I want to thank them because they gave us a great room and they gave us some great hospitality. Ryan Williams and his staff were awesome getting us in and out. The engineers in the back, from Marshawn and Rich to keeping us on track. Great job. I'll leave you, first of all, it's flattering and I appreciate it when you guys give me the respect, and thanks for being here. But I want to thank you guys, because the one thing that sometimes that I've really seen it the last 2.5 years, you're always busy. And it's up to you to get your ass out of the building. If you don't get out of the building to educate yourself, that's on you. And it's hard sometimes because there's so much stuff. I mean, Mike, you said it best. I mean, all the things that we have to do. But you've got to take, and look, maybe next year you're not at this. And if you're not, I'd say, which conference are you going to? If you're not here, that's fine. Be at something, because this never stops. I love Jim Cutler because he's always continuing to learn. And whether you go to a social media conference, a radio conference, a sports conference, a Sloan conference, whatever it is, there's always something to learn. So continue to challenge yourselves to learn. The one thing I'll ask from you guys, like, I don't do this for charge. They say, you know, selling yourself should be your easiest sell. Well, it's not, because I'm still, in some ways, although I consult, I'm a programmer. I'm a programmer who just happens to be sitting in a house in New York. And I like it that way, when the checks show up at the house and I don't have to go to a building and deal with bullshit sales meetings. But what I will say is, the one thing that helps me back is when you guys leave here and you let your bosses know, your market managers, your corporate guys, that, hey, I got something out of that. And maybe we'll never work together. Maybe we will. But that's, to me, when I started this 2.5 years ago, I'm a firm believer that if you put out good content, if you build relationships, if you bring people together, people find a way to work with you. And the reason why we had all these speakers over the last 2 days is because, you know, when you work hard at building relationships, you can get people to do things. And to see John Miller and Larry Rosen fly in, to see Cap take time when he didn't have to be at TV today and hang around the city for 4 hours to do it. It's cool, and it shows that these guys care about our business just as much as all of us in here. So thanks for making the time. Safe travels back, and thanks again for being here.